Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of our future videos. Today we are going to be analyzing the war between Israel and Iran. This has been a highly requested video ever since the current conflict started last October. But it is quite difficult to do these kinds of scenarios because there's just so much to take into consideration. There are so many aspects to cover. It can get really confusing really fast. So I made it a bit easier for myself by limiting the scope to a few key areas and picking only some of the aspects that I believe are most important. And even with that, this was still very difficult to do. So please bear with me if I make any mistakes, or if anything is unclear or hard to understand. Anyway, let's start with a basic overview of the situation before we dive into the details. The current war between Israel and Hamas was actually preceded by years of preparation, planning, and attacks by Hamas against Israel. And while this recent war will likely have major consequences for the Iranian regime, Iran itself is not a direct participant in this war. So Iran isn't exactly Israel's only enemy right now. However, Iran does support Hamas both politically and militarily, which is why it will be very important for Israel to take care of Iran's influence in the region, while they are already at war with Hamas. So let us assume that the war between Israel and Hamas is still ongoing. When suddenly Iran decides to declare war on Israel, this means that Israel will have to fight onto fronts at once, both Hamas in the south and Iran in the north. And we'll talk more about the specifics of fighting onto fronts later in the video. For now, the most important thing to take note of is that Israel would definitely prefer to defeat Hamas first and deal with Iran afterwards. But Iran might not give them that chance. They might want to join the fight while Hamas is still strong, because if they wait too long, then Hamas might get weakened enough that Iran needs to resort to direct military intervention. And Iran definitely doesn't want that. They want to keep their distance and use proxy forces instead. So let's say that Iran wants to get involved as soon as possible. What are their goals? Well, I think their primary goal would be to open a second front. This would relieve pressure off Hamas by forcing Israel to spread its troops and resources to thin. It would also allow Iran to show the world that they can support Hamas militarily if needed, which could help with gaining political points both in the eyes of the world and especially within the Muslim world. I also think that Iran would want to destroy any Israeli forces stationed in Syria and Lebanon, both because these are strategic locations and also because they are currently being used as launching points for Israeli strikes against Iran and its proxies inside Syria. But what kind of forces does Iran have that they could use in a war with Israel? Well, first of all, Iran's Revolutionary Guards Corps. That is the group that basically controls all of Iran's proxies. And they have a pretty significant force of around 120,000 active soldiers. These are generally well-trained, motivated, and equipped. But they have never fought a war on this scale. So it remains to be seen how they would perform. Then we have Iran's regular army with around 640,000 active soldiers. This army is generally quite poorly equipped and lacking in motivation. Many of its soldiers come from ethnic minorities that don't really feel connected to the regime. So I wouldn't expect this army to perform very well at all. Then we have Iran's besieged militia, which consists of around 1 million members. This militia is loyal to the regime. Its members are generally poorly trained and equipped. They are mostly used for internal security tasks. And then finally, we have the various Iranian-backed militias in the region, such as Hezbollah, which has around 40,000 trained fighters. Then there are smaller groups in Iraq and Syria who would likely also want to join the fight. So altogether, Iran and its allies probably have around 900,000 members between their regular army, paramilitary, and militias. Of course, that doesn't mean that they would all be able to participate in an invasion of Israel. Many of these groups have other duties to attend to, such as keeping the peace internally or fighting other enemies. But I would estimate that at least 300,000 of them could be reasonably expected to participate in an invasion of Israel, okay? So now we have a basic understanding of what this war would look like. Let's turn it into an anim. The video opens with a scene of an intense battle between Israel and Hamas. Fighter jets fly through the sky, leaving contrails in their wake as bombs are dropped and rockets are launched. On the ground, tanks and armored vehicles clash as they engage each other with their cannons. Amidst the chaos, a small group of Israeli soldiers finds themselves pinned down by enemy fire. They take cover behind a bombed-out building as bullets whiz past them, desperately searching for a way out of this precarious situation. As the attack continues, Israeli soldiers regroup and devise a plan. One of them, a young and determined fighter named Aviv, volunteers to take on the enemy head-on. With a mix of courage and desperation, he charges out into the open, drawing the enemy's fire away from his comrades. The rest of the team uses this opportunity to regroup and find higher ground, regrouping into a defensive position. But this is when the tide of battle turns unexpectedly. A shadow falls over the battlefield as a large convoy of tanks and troops arrives. It is led by a towering figure clad in black armor. With a single gesture, he signals his troops to open fire. The combined might of this new force quickly overwhelms the Israeli defense, pushing them back and inflicting heavy casualties. As the dust settles, the Israelis find themselves on the brink of defeat. The enigmatic leader of the opposing force reveals himself to be a member of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. He gloats over the imminent destruction of Israel, declaring that this is just the beginning of their campaign. The screen fades to black as the fate of Israel hangs in the balance. A sense of foreboding washes over the nation as the true extent of the Iranian threat becomes clear. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addresses his people, urging them to remain steadfast in the face of adversity. Meanwhile, deep within Iran's borders, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, watches the unfolding events with a mixture of anticipation and control. His advisors brief him on the progress of the attack, highlighting the success of their strategy so far. In a secret underground facility, a team of elite Israeli special forces known as Sayeret Matkal prepares for a daring counterattack. Led by the skilled and stoic Captain Ornat Shiner, they embark on a mission to infiltrate Iranian-controlled territory and gather intelligence on the enemy's plans. As they navigate through hostile environments, they encounter fierce resistance from Iranian-backed forces. The Sayeret Matkal team fights back with precision and determination, showcasing their exceptional combat skills and unwavering commitment to their mission. As the conflict intensifies, Captain Sheena discovers a shocking conspiracy that threatens to escalate the war beyond anyone's wildest nightmares. With time running out, she must race against the clock to prevent an even greater catastrophe. Tensions reach a fever pitch as Israel prepares for a full-scale invasion. The Israeli Defense Forces, under the command of Chief of Staff Aviv Kohavi, mobilize their vast arsenal of advanced weaponry. Fighter jets soar through the skies, dropping powerful bombs on Iranian positions. Meanwhile, ground forces advance, engaging in fierce close combat with Iranian-backed fighters. Amidst the chaos, a group of Israeli soldiers led by the courageous Staff Sergeant Liar Cohen finds themselves trapped in a subterranean labyrinth beneath the streets of Beirut. As they navigate through a maze of tunnels, they encounter booby traps and ambushes laid by Hezbollah forces. The soldiers rely on their training, ingenuity, and teamwork to overcome these challenges and stay alive. As the war rages on, alliances are tested and new partnerships emerge. Israel finds itself in a desperate struggle to survive, forced to forge alliances with unlikely allies in the region. The conflict takes a brutal turn when Iran unleashes its most advanced weapon, a state-of-the-art drone equipped with deadly precision-guided munitions. This technological marvel poses an unprecedented threat to Israel's air defenses, catching them off guard and causing widespread panic. With the fate of the nation hanging in the balance, Israel's Air Defense Command, led by the brilliant but troubled Major General Amikam Nador, races against time to intercept the deadly drone. As the clock ticks, the pressure mounts, and lives hang in the balance. Can Israel's air defense system prevail against this advanced Iranian threat? Or will it crumble under the pressure? All right, everyone, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please remember to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future videos. I know this video was a little different from what we usually do, so if you have any feedback or suggestions, please leave them in the comments below because I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you again for watching and see you next time.